Hi, and welcome to another segment of KISS. Keep it simple, sir. Señor, señorita, sisters, thanks of God. Surely our studio is full once again as we come to you with one grand subject with some great community leaders sharing with you today, praise God, something that we all would love to talk about, but seldom, the great experiment. Starting with the bishop to the right and your left, we will move right around as each one introduce themselves. Tell a little bit about yourselves today. God bless.
Okay. I'm David Evans. I am an ordained bishop, and I have a pastor's church in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Proud graduate of Meadowdale High School. Proudly served in the United States Air Force, and have taught at both Central State and Wilberforce universities for about 30 years. So I'm glad to be here with my classmates.
My name is Kevin Moore. I am also a graduate, 1976, of Meadowdale High School, as well as Central State University and Emory University. I am a former retired pastor. I have been married to my wife, Althea, for 41 years, and I'm just really glad to be here with my classmates today, just talking about old times. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle White, and I am also Meadowdale class of 1976, and glad to be here with my classmates and happy that they came. I am a graduate of Spelman, and I left Spelman and received my doctorate of pharmacy from Mercer University and became the first African American female to teach at Mercer University. I've done everything in pharmacy you can actually think of and have done. My goal as I've retired is to help people live a better life by getting them off of medications and living a healthier life through what God has grown in the ground.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Renee Moses. I'm also a former graduate of Meadowdale High School, class of 1976. I was a GM employee for 32 years. I am a mother and grandmother, and I enjoy doing community work as well.
Hi, my name is Gregory Muhammad. Everybody know me from high school, Gregory Motley. I graduated in 1975. Out of high school, I went to Tuskegee for a couple of years and ended up coming home, got married. Now I got 15 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren. But over my years, I went back to school in 2003, graduated from Alabama State in elementary ed, and now I'm operating an urban farm in West Dayton off of Decker called the Oasis.
Okay, my name is Bradford Huey. I've been a business owner around here in Dayton. Went to Meadowdale, graduated in '76. What else have I done? Community leader, as far as I'm an official, sports official in volleyball and basketball, and also flag football. So I deal with a lot with the kids, and I'm glad to be here with my classmate. So thank you.
And surely it's a blessing to have each and every one here today. It's such a beauty thing to be in fellowship, and we're not at the final service.
Okay.
And we're able, praise God, to chair and share
Yes.
a legacy, a little bit of a legacy to those that are coming on behind us. And today I believe Dr. White here was talking about the experiment we agreed upon. 50 years may seem like a long time to some of you, but some of us don't seem so long. Hey man, it don't seem like you were 19, 20, 21, 50 years ago.
That's bad math.
So here we are.
We're still here.
Where should we start, Dr. White, on this area that, speaking about this
Well,
experiment?
we were actually, I think most of us was at a funeral of one of our classmates.
Okay.
And I think it was Charles Finley. And David, I think did the eulogy,
Yes,
or you
David.
did the eulogy. And so each of us got up and spoke and said something. And so Jerry Crane reminded me of what I got up and said. And he said, "Oh, you said the great experiment, like it was something good." I was like, I was not being facetious. I was saying we were an experiment coming from the west side of Dayton to Meadowdale. And we all have our different experiences as it relates to how we were received, what we did at Meadowdale. I know one of the things that me and my classmates, it was two, her name's Cookie and Marsha, we decided to join the volleyball team to integrate it. Because the football team, I think, was already, and the basketball team and the track teams were already, but the volleyball team was strictly Caucasian. So we said, let's try out. And we did, and was accepted. So those were just different things that we experienced. And then just being in the same room with someone that looked different than we were, and having that experience, I think I think it was an experiment. The point, as that we were discussing earlier, about the integration process, is that the leaders that were trying to do the desegregation was not about us sitting next to white kids in a school. It was for equality of education. And I think I could say for myself that I believe it actually helped us to propel to go to other things.
You know, I'm glad to share that. I hear so much controversy on that, but we lived those years.
Mm-hmm.
And we know basically that was the guide of the fathers at that time. We were talking a little earlier, in our school, our brand new books had other names in it, and none of those people attended that school ever, or in that neighborhood.
Yes.
So a lot of times when there's something positive, somehow we find some negative things, but the positive goal was for better or higher education, to interact. As I said myself, Matt, I wish if I could afford it to send as many Americans abroad to see the rest of the world for themselves. Because it's so much different what's written in a book than what you experience. Experience is one of the best things that we have. But like you were saying, we were experiencing, but it was also being experimental type of situation that we're being placed in for others to observe. Now, I don't want you all to work at the same time, but we want you to interact. Because time goes quickly than you realize.
Well, I'll say this. I think that as my classmates said, they were never serious about integration because they never sent white people to black schools. They sent us across town, and for the first time, we did have white classmates. And I think that the thing about the books was this, that we may have used the same books they were using in white schools. They were in the 7th edition and we were in the 3rd edition, or we were in the 4th edition. So we were using the same books, we were just some editions behind. And sometimes the changes are minute, they're not major, but when you're talking about the sciences, the math, math and things of that nature, if you're gonna go on and advance and go to college, then you gotta be up to date with all those kind of things. So I think that was one of the things that as I learned this in reflection, that we just were in different editions.
Yes, yes.
And they were written in.
Yes.
What about the first trauma, though? We all been separated and put away from our neighborhood and brought together. All these different students, people being put together and then sit over there to the white community. That's a trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yes.
I think it brought us closer together as a group, because we had no choice but to depend on each other.
What high school would you have gone to?
I went to Roosevelt one year, and then I was pulled away from Roosevelt to go to Meadowdale.
Cause all I was gonna say is absent Meadowdale, I don't know you, I don't know Renee, I probably don't know Wanda, and I probably don't know Tweet.
Yeah,
I know
and was-
Gregory.
I was sitting over, well, my mom wanted me to go to Roosevelt, to Meadowdale because she wanted me to get away from the drugs.
Okay.
But little did she know, she put me in the middle of nothing but drugs. But you know, it was our love.
Yeah.
She wanted better for me.
Yes.
But,
That was an experiment.
I was an experiment.
Well, I was gonna say, I went to Meadowdale before all of them, because I graduated in '75.
Okay.
But going to Meadowdale and being the only black in a class, because it was only about 30 of us when I went to Meadowdale. And just to be in the classroom, it kind of like, felt like isolated. And then sometimes when I had to walk home from, or catch the bus home from school, I can't remember, not the school
City
bus,
City bus.
but the city bus. So I would be standing up there by, what was it, Contiki,
Contiki.
Okay.
waiting on the bus. And some white boys would come by and they would have negative,
Words.
call you nigger,
Yeah.
and, you know, and even, they really didn't want you in the neighborhood, but I remember all that kind of stuff. And it was definitely kind of like a trauma, you know,
Yes.
but they never did anything. It's just like they always do. They just talk and, you know, throw their hands behind you, you know, behind your back. But, yeah, you know, it was kind of like a trauma. And then as time went on, you get the class of '76 coming in, and next thing I know, when Roosevelt closed, it was like, oh my God. Actually, the guy that threatened me at the bus stop one day, when Roosevelt closed, he was confronted with a brother. It was named, they called him, what do they call that guy? I want to say cowboy or something, but anyway, he got his.
Okay, so payback.
But no, it was just being there. Now, one good thing that I remember about high school is that when we went to school, it was mandatory that we took 6 weeks of East Industrial Arts.
Okay.
So over the years, I done learned how to do electronics, small engines, auto mechanics. See, I do a lot of stuff for myself now because of that drafting and stuff like that, you know. So that's one of the positive things that I got from high school.
So, and overall, do you guys see that as a positive thing, even in a negative situation that you did grow or get something from?
Yeah, it was positive.
Okay.
It really was.
Yes.
Not because we were going to the white school, but we learned about ourselves,
Selves,
how to
yeah.
get stronger,
Yes.
Yeah.
how to be more, you know, be proud, and
Yes.
stand up
Yeah.
for ourselves.
Yes.
So it was a positive experience
Yes.
within ourselves.
Yes. I've been in many situations I will go to myself, and I can't pass.
Yeah.
Dr. Finley may pass more than I would at a distance. But I'm saying a lot of areas that we were, I see even is a situation, you hear the old saying, no pain, no gain. I believe because each one of you are here is because of what social or psychological pain you might have experienced at a young age that makes you want to be Miss Spellman over here. Sometimes trouble brings about a change, doesn't it? And I think about myself a lot of times in the era where we were, yes, it's different, but then again, when you go into the field of work, employment, are we interacting? But it's to your disadvantage, maybe not to have the ability to interact at a younger age, being thrown in as an adult. You had no experience of anyone else but those that look like you. Now you're thrown into a job situation. Wouldn't you say it give you an upper edge to
Yeah.
basically?
I feel like it did.
Yes.
We had a head start.
Yes.
On how to deal with people, all different types of people.
Yes.
So I do. I feel like we had a head start by just going there.
Yes.
Even though we may not have wanted to, but we had a head start. How to
Yes.
deal with them.
And we can read between the lines, you know. We
That's
can
true.
Say no.
That's
look
true.
at Sally and Charlie and say, yeah, we know where he coming from.
Uh-huh.
So we learned a lot.
I think it was a perception that going to a predominantly white school, that we would get a better education. Maybe even some of our parents thought that also. I grew up in the Westwood neighborhood. On the side of the street that I lived on, I was supposed to go to Roosevelt. Those who lived across the street to me, they went to Rolfe. So you had this exodus, and then when busing came, we were all over. Patterson, Wilbur Wright, Belmont, Fairview. I mean, we were just all over. But I think that one of the good things that emanated from this, especially for those of us that play sports, that, you know, we were able to some degree to develop a camaraderie or a friendship with some of the other people that we were playing with, whether it be football, volleyball, you know, baseball, track. You know, we were able to develop a relationship with them where the emphasis wasn't so much on the individual, but the team, you know, us competing, you know, trying to, you know, make one another better, and also, you know, reaching for the same goal. So, you know, from that standpoint, I think those who were athletes may have benefited, you know, to a degree. Also, that, you know, we only had 3 predominantly black schools in Dayton: Roosevelt, Rolfe, and Dunbar. And so one of the things that busing did do was it did present some opportunities for some athletes to be able to play, to go on to get scholarships to college, and some even to go to the pros in basketball, football, and baseball. Some people were going to go regardless of where they went to school because their talent was so good. People like Alvin Hall and Larry Lee, they were going to go anyway. It didn't really matter. But, you know, for others, you know, it presented an opportunity that we had the ability to showcase, you know, our talent. I also think that, you know, busing was a failure because you can't rely on something like busing to remedy the ills of an entire society. And there, you know, and even Thurgood Marshall, the Supreme Court Justice, the late Justice, said that, you know, busing failed. And what they should have been more concerned about was redlining, you know, making it able for minority families to move in different neighborhoods. I think that was really should have been the real crux, because at the end of the day, after being in class, you know, at Meadowdale, or whatever school, you know, we may have went to, we got back on the bus. And we went home. So we never really had an opportunity to develop, you know, really sincere friendships, you know, and relationships with people, because we only saw them part-time. Whereas if we were possibly living and growing up in the same neighborhoods, and our parents had the ability, you know, to buy homes and to live there, you know, it could have been, you know, a totally, you know, different story. But I also feel that the emphasis should not have been so much on busing, but it should have been on cultural understanding as well as diversity. You can't, you know, enact a busing program and then think that that's just going to make everything right. And I think it was found out that it didn't make everything right. And so after many years, you know, it was, you know, verbally said that busing didn't work, but in that process, you know, 2 high schools were lost. You know, Roosevelt was shut down. I believe Rolfe was shut down. A new school, you know, replaced it, but it did not yield what many people hoped that it would yield. And I think, and I agree with my friends, you know, sitting here today, that you know, it did help us, you know, from the standpoint of being around other people. You know, I was fortunate in that when I was 11 years old, my mother would send me to the YMCA downtown on Monument Street. And I would say, Mom, why are you doing this? I said, I don't have any friends down there. And my mom would say, well, Kevin, the world doesn't look like you, and you need to know how to get along with everybody else. So for me, it wasn't that much of a culture shock to be thrust, with another group of people. But the one thing I do want to say is that I feel like our teachers that we had at Westwood, I feel like they instilled a lot of pride into us, that they, wanted for us to know that we could succeed, that we could do well. It was the expectation, of our teachers, that we did excel and exceed in school. So I think that was the one thing, that we had in our advantage as well as our families.
Okay. And I notice a lot of times we expect one particular thing to solve all problems, but in any place of life, there's no one thing going to take care of everything. But it's selective various things working together, where we all cannot live in the same neighborhood, but then the people we work with, they're from different parts of the city, different parts of the state. But if the real shock is, all of a sudden you're on a job with people that you have absolutely no knowledge, no type of interaction with. And your success level, as you climb the ladder, most times those people in your neighborhood are not on the same area or exposed to the same thing you are. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
So it's sort of, I remember I worked in the office when I was in the military, and the gentleman that was in the office with me was from Kentucky. And he said the things that people in his neighborhood, even his father, said about the black race and others, he didn't really agree and accept, even though he didn't know any better, because he had nothing to deal with. He said, but man, since I've been in the military interacting, I found out a lot of those things I was told was lies. I've had the opportunity to interact with someone otherwise I would have never had the opportunity to interact with.
That's true.
Then again, Buster was going to solve everything, but it had its place.
Well, that's why I feel strongly that more emphasis should have been put on cultural understanding, on diversity, of talking about, the commonality that we have one with each other. And, none of that was discussed, none of it was talked about. We were not put in a classroom situation. I had to take a class, that addressed, cultural difference, cultural diversity. And
You're not gonna get that in
yeah,
those days.
yeah, and I'm kind of ahead of my time,
Yeah.
in
Black people
those
would've
days.
been nice.
But then
Would've been nice.
it should have been something put in place to be able to allow us to address the differences that we had with our counterparts.
White parents would never, in our day and time, white parents would never have accepted the idea that you're going to teach my children that black children are equal with you, just as smart as you, and maybe even more brilliant than you. They just, not from our era, they just wouldn't have had it. And so what we would have had, Tweet, is white flight. They would have just found, they would have sent their kids to private schools and got them out of Meadowdale, and got them away from us because they still wanted to function under an ideology of white supremacy, that our children are better. Now, you guys that played sports, you had it better because of the fact that, sports is an equalizer, All they wanted to know is that Gregory could catch a pass.
Right.
The football, the quarterback didn't care about what color he was. If he was open, he threw in a pass, and so sports does become an equalizer for you to some degree. But I don't think white parents would have accepted this idea that you're going to bring them to our school and you're going to have a class or course and you're going to tell them that these kids are equal to them when they've been teaching them their whole life that they're not.
And that's the problem I was thinking about. Regardless of what you got at home in your neighborhood, being in that classroom would teach you from self-experience. As I was saying, the guy that was in the military with me, in the office, he said, man, I heard all kinds of negative things, but being in the military, being in the same barracks, being in the same office, I've learned for myself the experience, not just what I've been told. Now I'm able to experience something that I was not told.
Yeah.
You see, we were talking about the experience thing. We can be taught a lot of things, but learning something for ourselves is more important than being taught anything.
Existentialism says the greatest learning experience that you will have is what you experience.
Exactly.
So we all are existentialists. We learn through our experiences.
Yes. Yes. And so there was some white students that may favor just didn't know any better because they didn't have the ability or receive the training at home or in the neighborhood. But here, Dr. White wasn't so bad, I heard things, but she's smarter than I am. I got answered questions that I didn't know. That's a personal experience someone may not have gotten any other way, even if the classes didn't teach the things that we would like them to teach. That personal interaction, being there, taught you something, whether you like it or not, that you would never be able to erase.
Well, one of the things too, and you brought this up, is that, sports has the ability to promote camaraderie between us and to learn about one another and to also to be happy about one another also. For example, Greg was a great wide receiver. So, when he when he caught a pass,
Greg might be a little hyperbole.
when he caught a pass, the quarterback was happy, high-fiving, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But one of the things that needs to happen is that beyond sports, we need to be able to develop and have that kind of camaraderie even without playing something. We have to understand that, at the end of the day, we're all people.
Yes.
Okay? And that, it is possible, for us to get along.
Yes.
And I think that, when the busing thing was established, I think their mindset was that if we can just put them in the classroom, everything will be okay. And it was so far from reality and also from the truth.
Yeah. That's just one point. I see Dr. White tried to say something a few times here.
Do you all remember when the Dayton Board of Education tried during our homecoming, and we had to have a certain quota of blacks and white on our homecoming court, and we as a class, I don't know who all, I know we all went down to protest.
Okay.
And it was black and white, and we said, whoever we choose to be our king and queen is who we want, and we do not want quotas. Because they said, well, because you're 20% black and 40% white, you have to have 20% on the court that's black and 40%, and we was like, no, who we choose is who we choose. And so, do y'all remember that?
Sort of, but not.
No, am I the
Well, I
only one?
remember the
I'm
Kenny
sure
and
it
Lynn.
Because Kenny and Lil won.
Kenny and
Yeah.
Lynn
They
ended
won.
up winning.
Yep.
He was popular because he was the starting quarterback of the football team.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter. He was popular because he was a good quarterback.
Back. Yeah.
And I think that quotas kind of give that the indication of not being equal.
Yes.
And so we
That's
got
what they
to
did.
force a false equalizer
Equalizer.
into the system in order to get a result that seems to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need quotas.
Yeah.
We just need access.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think, like you said, we had star players that wasn't allowed in national teams. It's not that they didn't have the skill, but if it was never exposed to interact, that they could see this ability, and you're just listening to what you've been told. But when they began to allow, was Jackie Robinson?
Yes.
If he had never had the access to be even the one person with all the negative things he may have experienced,
Right.
for once staying at home and being his super player without the exposure getting there, put in a place where he could show. And my sister doctor over here at Spelman, she's doing all the things there, but the knowledge what you had there, you didn't get a chance to carry that somewhere else. You come from where? With all of that
This is the
now
one
that
from
you are
Spelman.
doing.
This is
I got to spell. I got to spell. Which one I
Yes.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got it right.
Oh, so, well, you understand what I'm saying? Communication is the most important thing that we could ever have. I was thinking, it was a cartoon someone sent me once. It was a big cartoon character. There's a small character, and the small character had a sign in his hand. It said something like, it wasn't success. I had to name it before, but it was like maybe peace or some positive thing. And the bigger character said, well, where did you find that? He said, I could not find it, so I made it myself. In other words, what I'm saying, a lot of times while we're expecting others
We had
to
make
do
ourselves,
things, a
yeah,
lot of things have to start working.
with ourselves.
Number uno.
Right.
And it's not always easy, but the mindset is being able to accept whether I'm a group or individual. Sometimes we look to go as a group and you don't work as a group.
Right.
Being that token sometimes puts you in a position even to make you work harder, doesn't it? But if you never had the exposure to be competitive with no one outside of your own circle, how could the world even know that you are that good? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It takes, and I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying in so many areas, can we expect one thing or one individual to make all the changes? Or should we as individually make changes where we are? Being a minister, a lot of times when they come out, they're taking prayer out of the schools. People say, oh, they're taking prayer out of school, we can't pray no more. My answer to the people was, did they take it out of your home?
Amen. Yeah.
If we step back and cry about where they're taking it from, does that take it from your ability to have it in your home?
Right.
And if in your home, then their child can spread it out. We raise our grandkids to adults, some of them.
They really didn't take prayer out of school. What they said was is that administrators and staff can't lead prayer. But if you had a student group that wanted to lead prayer, they were more than welcome to do that. So they never really took prayer out of schools.
Well, they never made it clear either.
Yeah.
To the point, that's what I'm saying, communication, miscommunication.
Yeah.
Cause a lot of times for us to say, hey, I can't do this, I can't do that. That old, I don't know, well, we in sort of group there. There was a little school book they used to have years ago, had a little train going up the hill. The king, the little train said, I thought I could.
Yes. Yeah.
If we at the bottom of the hill and never thought we could climb the hill, where would we be? It was just a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts. We talk about putting things into action. All of you beautiful people here wouldn't be where you were if you didn't put forth that extra effort in spite of the things that were before you. And you could have sat back and said like everybody else. I mean, the old thing said, don't tell your children the negative things. You are never going to be any good. You're never going to be amount to anything. Some child might sit back and say, yeah, I ain't going to never say, ain't going to never be nothing. But that one child said, I'm going to make a lie out of you. I'm going to show you that I can and will be more than you say. I have so many, I don't want to do all the talking. I want you all to get involved. I have so many things that I have been able to see. Have you ever heard of the 761st Tanker Division?
Yes, sir.
How many other people in your community know about that?
Not many.
But those men put in a situation of segregation, but they shone like a star. You don't hear about it today. They did more in World War II than a lot of other brigades.
Yes.
But they didn't sit back because we were not allowed. We're not waiting for an administrative process to allow us to do this. That's what made the forefathers move ahead. The ones that did, not waiting for somebody to do it for us. I think that cartoon was Happiness. The person said, what do you find happiness? He said, that couldn't happen anyway, so I made it myself. And if we could make the happiness ourselves, those that are successful even in life today, it's because you never take a no for an answer.
Right.
I'll tell you, I enjoyed my time at Meadowdale.
Yes.
And I still on Facebook with some of my white classmates. I don't really know why we can't all come together with various classes and do one class reunion. But in reflection, I had a good time at Meadowdale. I really did. I'm glad I went there. I mean, for me, it was easy because Gregory was going there, and Jeffrey was going there, Ronnie Rose was going there, and Marlene was going there. So it was easy for me to make the decision to follow, the people I had grown up with.
Yes.
And we grew up in a good neighborhood. I mean, we didn't have bums in our neighborhood. I think Gregory's father worked at the base, right?
Yeah, Dr. Kamari.
And
behind
Dr.
it.
Cromartie was
Yeah.
was right across the street from Gregory and Freddie's
Mr.
house.
Gass.
Yes.
The Finleys worked at the base.
Mr. Gaston lived next door.
Mr. Gasson had a
Oh,
drugstore.
Mr.
I mean, we
Gaston.
grew up in a good
Yeah.
neighborhood. And I know Gregory and them moved out maybe around your senior year, right?
No,
They went to
sophomore. Yeah.
Sophomore year. They moved out. So he had a little bit different experience, but we never stopped being friends because they
Yeah.
moved out in what, Valerie Arms, wasn't it?
Over by Valerie School, yeah.
Yeah, over by Valerie School, yeah. But I had a good time in Meadowdale, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And here's what I'll tell you, and that is that for me to go there, it was a conversation because I lived right across the street from the principal of Roth. And we were good friends. My father and Mr. Caldwell were good friends. And for him to now come and say, you know, Big Jim, I got a son that doesn't want to go to where your principal at. I imagine that there was some conversation about that.
Yeah.
Probably not. I'm not saying it was negative. I don't know, but I do know that they talked about it. You know, but I still went. And then in the Air Force, I had situations where when I made rank, some of the white guys that were under me didn't want to respect me. And I would tell them all the time, you know what, listen, I'm your sergeant. I don't care that you don't like black people. You're going to do what I say. You know, and it just be like this sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But I enjoy Meadowdale. You enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it would sound like you're talking about a strong black neighborhood, but that's what we had back then.
Yeah.
I understand about the redlining, but we didn't know anything about redlining
we
until,
didn't. We didn't.
until 20 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
So we kept our neighborhood strong.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And like I said, business owners, that's what we did back then.
Because they owned the grocery store.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
More than one then.
yeah, this one.
And
Down the
on-
street from where I live. Right? No.
Yeah, and on line with that right there, Brad, I'm glad because me and Brad grew up together. You know, in Westwood. I mean, his father and family owned a store. They had businesses, and we grew up in an area where people care.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that's one of the things that helped us to be able to jump many of the hurdles that, you know, we encountered. We knew that, you know, there was a family, that there were people in our family that were pulling for us, that were pushing for us. We knew that we had, you know, elementary school teachers that had invested a whole lot into us, forcing us and making us believe that we could. And so the neighborhood, you know, helped us in so many ways because not only did it protect us, but it also, many people, you know, just pointed us in the right direction.
Yes.
I grew up 2 blocks away from Westwood Park. I can remember as we were growing up, you know, there were guys older than us who were sitting under bleachers. They were, you know, smoking, doing drugs or whatever, drinking. And I remember, you know, them saying to us, we better not ever see you do any of this, okay? It was the expectation that we would do better and that we would achieve more than what they did. So that was never really an issue because we were more afraid of them than we were our parents, okay?
That's true.
And, you know, I think everybody can attest, especially Bradford, that, you know, that was, in fact, that was true. But one of the things that was missing was that I felt like the teachers, though many of them did a great job, they embraced us. I don't remember having any problems from my teachers there, but I think that it would have been good and necessary and important if they also could have had additional training about this new group of people that were on their way, that were coming. Okay, whether that was done, I don't know. I don't think so.
It's the time. It's the
Okay.
sign of the time.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, I want to bring this to you all's memory.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, the only black people that were on TV were in comedies. It was as if we could not even be serious actors.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is we can't reflect and say this is what they should, because we were in a time.
Right.
And what happened to us was what was going on at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I agree with him 100%. That's what should have happened. It just wasn't what they did at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
They sent us over there. They said, go play football, go play basketball, go play volleyball, go to class, get good grades, and then leave here. And here's the interesting thing. Some of us left there and went to black colleges.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
I went to a black college.
too.
Right.
I,
Great.
I think my favorite time at not Spelman, but at Meadowdale, excuse me, was on the bus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because me and Renee probably are the oddballs, because
Right.
I didn't know any of them.
Okay.
I didn't grow in the same neighborhood. I was 2 blocks over from Roosevelt. I wanted to go to Patterson. Mommy said, no, I'm the only girl of 5 brothers. No, you're not going to Roosevelt. And so I was like, well, where do I have to go? So back then you had to choose which school you wanted to go to. I did not want to go on the
Got
east
3
side.
schools. You picked 3 schools.
Yep, I did not want to go on the east side because my middle brother was at Emerson and they called him a nigger every day. And my mom had to go out there to threaten the teachers to say, hey, if y'all put a hand on my son, you're going to hear from me. So I knew I didn't want to go on the east side across the Little Miami River. But the bus was our camaraderie of us getting to know each other. Me and Brad was on.
That's how we got so
so-
close.
Yes,
Right.
our bus was what caused
Right.
us to be, and I think every last,
Right. All
except
of us,
Renee,
yeah.
Right.
was
Yeah.
on our bus.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank y'all had it going on because we didn't have no bus.
Well,
We had to walk to school.
well, and I walked to
regardless
school.
of how far.
We still walked a long way from the bus stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I walked from William Street, First Street, a block from Roosevelt to catch the bus. So that's like
Wow.
5 blocks or
Wow.
more to get to the bus.
Yeah.
We went to school no matter what the weather was.
Yes.
Ice storm.
Oh,
Yes.
Right.
That was
Yes.
the most horrible
Yes.
to watch us go. But school was always in school every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and
Today's conventions, does it not spoil us too? Sometimes the hard things we had to do made us,
It made
the
us hard.
integrity.
yes,
I have family members that lived in Crown Point. Would go to Roosevelt, they had to walk from Crown Point to Roosevelt every day.
right,
Now we're saying, oh, that baby can't do that.
Right.
right.
But it's what made them.
Right.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of times excuses, sometimes hard times make us
And
Yeah.
be who we should be.
Just like the gangs in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
The
was.
bullies.
Yeah. And of course,
Right.
for us growing up in Residence Park, our football team was with Drexel and Crown
And
and
Crown
Jane
Point.
Adams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you know, when you were talking, I think about even coming together, even in a negative thing, when you have a common enemy. You being a military man, I don't care what color they were, during the times of war, they become,
Right.
I heard people say, they closer than my natural brother. Because they were in a situation
Sorry for that.
Protect each other.
that they learned they would never be able to erase those experiences, regardless of what the national thing was doing.
right.
And most people go to the things that most benefit them. Oh, even some of those that learned fell back into the slot when they got home because it benefited them. For the social climate. Yes, sir.
But you know what? I think that many of us in our own way, I feel that we were able to break down some barriers, that we were able to not only befriend people, but allow for people to see that, you know, we're just a human being. We're
Yes.
just a person. We're just a person also.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, when you were talking about the 76st, General George Patton,
Yes.
you know, he led that black tank battalion, the only one in the whole army.
Yes.
They went 183 days without respite. Okay, several medallions were given to the soldiers because, you know, they did their job. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I think that's what we just want, is just to be accepted and to just, you know that as you are expected to give your best, we're going to give our best also.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know.
And I think about Colonel Young up there in Wilberforce. Force. He was the director head of the Buffalo Soldiers.
Right.
Yeah, up in Wilberforce, yeah.
Yes.
Charles Young.
Where it was so quiet,
Right.
but he was who he was regardless of whether they gave him the paper or not. They made him general years after he was passed on.
Years after. Yeah.
But he was a general when he was doing the job that he was doing.
Right.
A lot of times, we allow ourselves to be limited because we don't have the paper. We don't have the administration behind us. But we have to be who we are, whether we have the administration, whether we have the paperwork, because the integrity of who we are is why we are here today. And those parents,
It's called pride.
yes, that went that extra mile.
For yourself. You had to have pride for
Bishop,
yourself.
can I make this point to you?
Mhm.
The Michael Jackson movie that's out now.
Yes.
There's a scene in that movie where Michael Jackson and his manager go to the guy that's in charge of CBS Records. And they say, we want to be on MTV. And he goes, oh, we don't put black artists on MTV, you know. And Michael Jackson, I'm not going to be put on the back of the bus for anybody. And he makes the phone call and he says, put Michael Jackson on MTV in 10 minutes, or I'm pulling Billy Joel, I'm pulling Bob Dylan, I'm pulling this person, this person, this person. So it was the society that we grew up in. They wanted to relegate us to the back of the bus. The fortunate thing for us is that we had our own bus. When we rode to school, we played Beat the Clock, we had fun. I mean, it's really an experience that I think that made us better today.
And we encouraged one another.
Yes.
If I know my cousin, he's not here, he was having trouble with some of his classes to graduate. And we came together to try to make sure that he studied the right things. We would have sessions with him so that he could graduate with his class in 1975. That was Tony Holland. So, so I just feel like that camaraderie we had on the bus, and being able to extend that when we got out off the bus, and then we were scattered into the different halls of Meadowdale, and we ate at the lunch table at certain times. We ate together. So my brother always says, my baby brother does tours, and he always says, we promote HBCUs for a reason. He said, because when you go to a PWI, you're still going to you're going to still find your tribe, in which you're going to look for people that look like you. And you end up still being with the people that look like you. There are some examples where that might not happen. But for the most part, in the PWI, you're going to see us congregating with people that look like us.
Absolutely.
Now, the problem is when you try to assimilate to be something like them instead of being yourself.
Exactly.
And I always hate that. And as a professor at Mercer, I would see that. And I was like, you don't have to be like them. Be your authentic self.
Yes.
You are just as smart as they are. In fact, you are smarter, because I could tell those that are memorizing, and they would say, oh, you're you a tough teacher. I said, you don't know this. My black students know it better than you, because we had to learn. We had to really get it. And so I just felt like us coming together, even though we came from different communities on the west side of Dayton, it still was a great experiment in that sense. It was not a great experience as far as my brother here said, as far as the busing is concerned, because it was not equal, like David said. White students did not go to across town. They did not come into our neighborhoods. It was us being scattered out. They did not come. It was not an equal exchange.
In the 80s, they did. They did bus a few white people too, like Dunbar stuff.
And what happened to it? The white, what did they say? They started going to charter schools and private schools, Chaminade, Julian, and different things.
And I think the thing that helped us was that she talked about the bus, and she's right. It was a great time that we had on the bus, just laughing and talking, you know, being able to cry, you know, with a friend if we had to cry. But we had each other, but then we also had our family. Okay, many of us, you know, came from two-parent homes. Okay, many of us, you know, had parents, you know, who were hardworking. So, you know, we had people not only pushing for us, but also pulling us. And then, you know, we had our grandmothers and aunts and uncles who, regardless of how people may have felt about us, they were proud of us. And so really when we look back at it, that really meant a lot to us, you know, for our father or for our grandfather, you know, to be able to say, you know, man, I'm so proud of you. I remember I ran a touchdown in football for 91 yards, and my grandfather, every time I would go to his house, you know, Big Time George, he would say, now tell me, you know, how many yards did you run? You know, I mean, he was just happy and proud, you know, of that achievement, but also happy and proud because he probably was denied opportunities, you know, that, you know, we had, and so he wanted for us to go forward. So, you know, I think, like, you know, had we not gone to Meadowdale, I would have known Brad, okay, but, you know, these two, these four, I wouldn't have known. But, you know, we're family and we're friends, and so we have learned to be able to come together, to support one another, and to be there for one another. And that's all we can do as human beings is do our best.
It's that old saying, to take a whole village to raise
Yes.
one. And that's one thing that we did have. Anyone could correct you
Right.
in your neighborhood. But right now, some things we're doing ourselves, fast forward, we have got to develop now. You can't
Yeah. Right.
even say something to your neighbor's child about being out of place.
We have met the enemy, and it's us.
Yeah, that's so true.
And the very thing is, and in the school system is so much, we have lost it somehow that we can blame ourselves for. Is that correct? Whereas that child that you would save life or say something, you're afraid to say something if somebody attacked him because you know what the parents are going to say.
Yeah.
We have lost that. And it doesn't have to be a racial thing. It's within our own.
No, it's a sense of community. We've lost
Yes.
that.
Yeah, that's,
Yes.
we
The
have-
thing
Why
is-
do we
Because
fear that?
primarily because families are different. They've broken down.
Yes.
Two-parent families are almost an anomaly.
Right. The thing is, the old saying we used to say, it's not what someone call you, it's what you answer to.
yeah. Just like Kevin was speaking, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Just like Kevin was speaking about the touchdown.
Yes.
We all want to show off for our parents.
Yes.
Right.
As I told you before, I was a sports official.
Mhm.
I'm doing a game like volleyball. I'd be happy just to see 6 parents in the stand.
Wow.
And the school, a high school. You just don't have 6 parents in the stand. So these girls or the boys, they don't want to. They depend on each other for their love
Yes.
because they're not getting it from the stands.
Yes.
It's-
Not getting the support.
They're not getting the support.
Exactly.
I know we're talking about the
Yeah.
busing, but support is very important for
Yeah.
it.
Well, it all has to do with the communication where we're talking about interacting in life itself.
Yeah.
I mean, but I won't hop on just one thing saying this is called where I'm not where I should be. But having a positive attitude to take whatever the situation and do better. To make some type of a way for those that fall behind you. If we're going to pass a torch to someone, we're going to pass a torch with some fire on it.
Yes.
You want to pass a smothering torch of negativeness, of inability to do anything. But each one of them, you can say, hey, I was a pastor, I did such and such. I was a doctor, I did such and such. At a time when they said it could not be done. President Obama, at a time when he said it could not be done. If you listen to all the things that say it could not be done, regardless, he's a character, and everybody, I don't care what color it is, we're not going to agree with
Right.
every political person get in office, even from my own neighborhood. And I'm proud to say I'm from Hog Bottom. That's the family I come in, praise God.
Amen.
Lakeview was a breaking point.
Right.
Anything on the other side of the lake, and that goes back a ways, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does.
But all of the interaction, and you'd be surprised how many political successful people came out of Hog Bottom.
Yeah.
They did not allow that to categorize them as being something or not being something. I don't want to start calling names dropping, but a lot of people come, even Mr. McLean, right there in the Hog Bottom.
Right. That's where she raised at. That's where I was raised at, Williamson First Street, right there. I was
Yes.
there in the riot. I saw the riot for myself.
I did too.
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
So that was something to see, and that was an experience in itself.
Yes.
You know. So we had a lot of things we were traumatized with back then. You
Of
know?
course.
Yeah.
You know, so but we stayed strong in what we believed in, and our parents made sure we stayed strong and did what we do to make them proud as well. You know, not only for yourself but for others as well.
That made the difference, didn't it? And this is what I guess we're coming together. We're here today. We're coming to the end of this production, almost at the end right now. But each one of you take 1 minute and just say something to someone, a young person coming along, even though in your trauma and your experience, how you benefit from it, and not to wallow in defeat. You could look at your camera there ahead or
Oh, we got a
whichever
camera.
one. We only got about a minute
Camera.
apiece.
Yeah.
About a minute apiece would be overtime.
I would say that there is no such word as I can't.
Okay, then I would say know who you are, your true identity, and whose you are. And it doesn't matter if they're black, red, blue, yellow, or white. If you know who you are, it doesn't matter. You just go forth and do who you were made as an authentic person to be.
I would say, make sure you have good math skills. You have good math skills, the world is yours. And you also, in this day and time, I know we're using computers and things of that nature. Make sure you can read, you can write, know how to use a comma, because education is important. But also, trades are good places to go to.
I would say believe in yourself. I mean, you have to be very positive. Believe in yourself.
Amen.
You have to.
Mhm. I would say the best religion is to do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, and
That's
want
right.
for your brother and sister what you want for yourself.
Amen.
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 And that's what I was about to say. Know who you are for yourself. Know who your God is, who you know and believe in. And stay strong and do and work hard. There's nothing wrong with working hard and being true to yourself and providing for you and your family. And don't let nothing stop you.
You know, it's a funny thing, a little humor. I was in Europe one time, and I was in an area where there was no one that looked like me. And I finally seen her brother across the way.
I just had that.
It was a mirror.
That's good.
That's good.
Do we have time if I can say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I worked at Summer Square for like 4 years. If
Uh-huh.
you're familiar with Summer Square.
Yes.
And the young people there, you know, I don't want to say stereotype, but it's obvious of what happens with our people who don't have a good upbringing. But my point is, they'll open up to you if they know you care.
They will.
And
That's true.
you know, when I started working up there, you know, I don't know if you know, but I can fix pretty much anything in the house. I can take it apart, put it back together. And they had nobody that would, maintenance people that would fix anything. So when I started fixing the things, they started opening up. That way I was able to talk to their children. I was able to discipline children. Not physically,
Yeah, I
but
understand.
you know, I could say, look, here, come on, let's go tell your mama what you're doing. And they would respect me, their parents. So, you know, it's just a matter of, they just need to know you care. Because as sad as it can be, people really don't care about each other.
But the change start with us as an individual.
That's right.
We can't wait anyone to give us happiness. Someone else to make a change. Even minute, as small a change that we each, as an individual, can make. It speaks in volumes when we make that change in the right direction. May God bless you. May heaven smile on you. It's our prayer.
Say, good God, am I happy?